And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think we have a one-party state. And I'll tell you why. There's three reasons. One is what I just explained. The censorship apparatus that's in place that's stopping free speech. Two is they control the media. 90% of all news consumed by a Canadian comes from a subsidized source. That's like 1D. That's the first D when you're like, tax the rich. It's like, talk about a caveman. Give me a fucking break. But I literally think $100 billion a year goes to just buying votes. But I owned a number of restaurants, and when COVID hit, we got absolutely kneecapped. So the country, to me, feels a bit like a cheating wife. Do I think that, you know, Canada's still, like I said, 10, 20 years away from being tenable? Yeah, I do. But that, I would say, is its only way out.
Welcome to the show, Jonathan Harvey. You and I have talked many times before about different subjects, so we're just going to roll with it and let's talk, brother.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you for coming. Let's start with Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's a big problem
right
to start with.
Shit.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. What's your thoughts?
In what perspective? Politically?
Well,
economically?
I think politically is going to affect, you know, the economics of Canada, and you are well-versed in all topics politically. So just tell me your thoughts, brother.
Okay, here's what I'll say. My family is currently on their way out of the country. We're moving south, we're moving to Texas, primarily for opportunity. You know, I think about what I'm doing. I'm an entrepreneur. This is not a very favorable climate for entrepreneurs.
No shit.
So we looked at a bunch of different places, and based on our requirements, our needs, what we're doing, the next business we're launching, Texas made the most sense. So that's where we're headed. We down there like January, February. So it's not a favorable economic climate for entrepreneurs. That's just kind of small scale. The other thing with Canada is, and I don't want to go too far back, but I owned a number of restaurants, and when COVID hit, we got absolutely kneecapped. So the country, to me, feels a bit like a cheating wife, right?
Okay.
So you can say, hey, honey, things are going to be the same. You sucked his dick. They're not. It's just, we're done. Sorry. So I feel a little bit raw about how things were handled. You know, again,
I've never heard it explained quite that way. It works.
So again, I'm kind of sticking with personal as to sort of how we're feeling, but now I'll branch into the political side. The reason why, one of the other reasons why we have to go is now we're in the media space. Like that's primarily where I live. We've got Blunder News, which is a national conversation piece. You know, it's an independent news organization. We have about 500,000 users. We track about,
dude.
Yeah, it's growing. It's been a couple years, 2.5 years. We're tracking about 30 million views a month. So it's reasonable footprint. Now we are stifled because of policy at this point. So I look at the capacity for its growth. I go, I mean, it's Canada, not America. I get it. But I don't think we can grow beyond 2 million users because I think the policy in place is going to make it impossible. Right now we're making a bit of noise and we're falling subject to sort of macro policy. You know, Online News Act, Online Streaming Act. They're looking at the online hate speech bill now, the online I can cut your internet off bill, the one that they're doing that in public with as well, and all this other. So they're basically creating all these censorship and speech crimes similar to the UK.
Yep.
So if you're in the media space, you got to you basically, if you don't toe the line, you got to shut your mouth.
Yep.
So for us, that's very difficult.
Sure, and you're being disingenuous.
It's also stopping free speech. So if you look at your political climate, you know, in a democracy, sometimes it's left, sometimes it's right, and that balance can be good. That's why swing states tend to be less extreme. They have to sort of mind the fence because that's where people are always sitting. But when you have a government in place that is implementing all these censorship tools and implementing all these speech tools, how can you possibly share your mind? And when you can't do that, how do you swing the political levers? You just can't. So I look at this country now, and if I'm being perfectly honest, I think we have a one-party state.
I agree.
I think we're in a one-party state, and I'll tell you why. There's three reasons. One is what I just explained, the censorship apparatus that's in place that's stopping free speech. Two is they control the media.
Yes, they do.
Right. So 85% of all mainstream media is subsidized by the government. 85%.
That's right.
I actually think about 50 to 60% of the independent media is also subsidized by the government. But what's interesting is 90% of all news consumed by a Canadian, and this is early 2025 numbers, and it was my math. So I'm good with it. 90% of all news consumed by a Canadian comes from a subsidized source. So you just can't break through this wall.
No, they have an agenda.
Exactly. So you've got censorship tools, media control, and immigration. They're flowing immigration in here at a rapid rate. They said they were going to curb it this year, and it's going to be the largest growth year we've had.
Yep.
Not percentage, but by number.
Yes.
By percentage, I think it would have been last year, but we're close to the same. Now, when you put those tools together, you have a potent weapon to control the political landscape. Right.
Iron hand control over everything that we consume.
That's exactly
it's
it.
Fucking insane. And let's be clear, we're talking about the liberal government here. So for
100%.
yeah, so for people that, you know, from other countries we're talking about the liberal government. So do you think there's going to be an election this month?
Currently, no. Currently,
Okay.
no, because enough people seem to be waffling or switching sides. I don't think it's super favorable. And now, if there was an election, here's what I think would have happened. I think it still would have favored the Liberals. I think they could have pulled off a majority.
I agree.
And I also think that this would have gotten rid of Polyev. And what I think would have happened is Doug Ford would have jumped up from the provincial party, and then you'd have 5 liberal parties, effectively, right? And that goes back to my one-party state situation. So even though I don't think they will, they've got a really good plan B in place if that does come to fruition.
I honestly think Canada's fucked.
Yes.
You know, when I speak on, you know, on my platforms, I generally am trying to bring awareness to people, but we are so stifled right now. I really don't think there's a way out of this.
I think we're 20 years. I think the only thing that we have, the only ace in our pocket are our natural resources. And
Yes,
I had a really
agreed.
interesting conversation yesterday with a gentleman, goes by the name Doomberg. I don't know if you guys follow him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like one of the largest finance substacks, I think in North America, like 300,000 users, doing really, really well. Super interesting guys. They've done well for themselves. So they don't even use their own face. It's a cartoon bird. I guess anonymity. I totally understand. So I had a conversation with him yesterday, and he kind of opened my eyes to something. This is actually kind of favoring the Liberals. So bear with me for a second. So we agree that the only way out of this is if we leverage our natural resources. And I go, well, we're not going to do that because the green agenda is the largest tool that the Liberals have. They use it as a filter to push through any policy they want, to convince everybody to jump on board.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a policy like that, it's kind of like Roe v. Wade for the Democrats in the States. It's very effective, and you want to be able to use that tool whenever you need to. But I think the only way to turn this country around is natural resources. So Doomberg made a good point. He goes, if the conservatives try to flip the green agenda, you'll have anarchy, you'll have chaos, you'll have revolution. They'll fight it tooth and nail because liberal constituents will fight it with everything they've got because that's what they've been told to believe in forever, for the last 20 years. It has to be a liberal. A liberal has to be the one to actually go, no, this isn't going to work. We got to switch. We got to turn the page here. We got to change our strategy, and here's why. And he made a really good case for it. He said, first of all, they're going to use Trump's tariffs and go, well, we have no other choice. We have no other economic leverage. We need to flip on the green agenda here. We have no choice. If that doesn't work, they go to the secession of Alberta. They go, well, they've got all the oil, a lot of the natural resources. If we don't play their game in some capacity, what happens next? So there is a chance that the Liberals and Carney do flip this green agenda and they do start digging us out of this hole. Now, do I think that benefits us for the next 10 years? No. Do I think they're still going to be entirely corrupt? Yes. Do I think that, Canada's still, like I said, 10, 20 years away from being tenable? Yeah, I do. But that I would say is its only way out.
So in playing that out, 20 years for the ship to start turning around, right? We're looking at generations that are going to be under this control, generations that are going to adapt the mindset that I think will perpetuate. Like, I mean, you see it now, the mentality of kids today, they're soft,
Yes.
right? And if we're looking at another 20 years of this sort of indoctrination, I don't see how this ship turns around.
Well, I think it looks different, right? So I had an interesting conversation with a guy named Dominic. He's, I wouldn't say a mentor, but I know him well. He's a little older, successful. And what he said to me was when things fall apart, and he's in his mid-60s, he goes, when things fall apart, they always manage to put themselves back together. It's just you don't know the ingredients, but what you do know is they're always baking a cake. So he goes, it's just going to be a different cake, Jonathan. It's going to be something.
Maybe I don't like that fucking cake.
Oh, I don't like the cake. That's why I'm out of here. I already know I don't like the cake. Like I'm good. Like the time to live was the boomer era, and like growing up through the 80s was what was up. That's really
awesome.
it. Yeah. So that to me is when it made sense. Like that's the last time, and looking back at what's happened to Canada, that I would have been like, oh, this is great. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the reasons why we're moving to Texas. I don't want to sit here and argue with the Canadian people to tell them that they're wrong, because the default vote in Canada is Liberal.
Yep.
That's what it's been for pretty much our entire history. We only vote Conservative when we have to. And I thought we had to. In fact, we did have to. Whether they did or didn't, that's fine. So they've made their choice. And rather than argue or disagree, I just have to accept the fact that I'm not the right kind of person for Canada anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. So That's why we're moving to the States.
Because you have the luxury of being able to do that.
Yes.
But what about the people that are not able to leave? They have to endure a hardship, both a physical and mental hardship that is going to cripple people.
I agree, but how many people don't have the capacity at all to start working their way out of here? I don't know. I actually don't know the number. I don't know what it's like. I don't know the percentage, and I'm not trying to sound privileged. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the US. There's no utopia anyway. It could be somewhere else. But you ever heard of the region beta paradox?
No.
So the region beta paradox is basically what it states is if something's bad, you'll put up with it. But if it's bad enough, you will find a way.
I would typically agree with that, but I just think there's a saying, what you allow will continue. And I think we are just becoming so indoctrinated to the shit that it's just like every day, dude, it's something more you hear. And every day I'm like, how much more motherfucker's going to take?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a consistent level of being pushed and pushed and pushed and just accepting and accepting. Because all these bills that are being passed, and my concern is that the Liberal government is going to win a majority, and they're just going to say, here, motherfuckers, here's all these new bills.
Yes.
And oh man,
what can we do?
Right.
Right. What can you do? Well, that's how it feels. It feels like the UK.
Yes.
If you speak out of line, then you get thrown in jail. Like what they're arresting, I think it's 12,000 people a year right now for hate speech or online speech crimes. Now I think only 1,000 are getting prosecuted, but that's still bananas.
Right.
Still
and
crazy.
Here's my concern. Give me the definition of hate speech.
Well, you can't.
Right.
And what's interesting is all these new bills. One thing that's important to highlight. And a number of these new bills are giving themselves the power and leverage to redefine what hate means.
Right.
And then it's adjudicated not through the courts, but through basically a liberal appointed group that is going to decide what hate speech means and how someone was affected and what these penalties should be. And we've seen with sort of this two-tier justice system that people like us would get pinned to the wall. What scares me with Bill C-36, if it passes as is, they have a retroactive clause in there. You and I have both said stupid shit before. Like, I know I'm getting pinned to the wall, and I'm actually pretty good at managing how I say these things. But I know some snowflake is going to be like, I was harmed by this,
right?
Because my reach is just enough for me to be a target. So for us, we don't have a choice, of course. But to your point of the people that stay here, look, there is a way to turn this around. It's not completely hopeless. You know, I say this all the time. If you want your institutions to work, you have to work for your institutions. And this is something I believe to be true. And I think that people can say, well, you know, it's such an uphill battle. I agree. But let's look at the institutions right now. Yes, we have a liberal leader and liberal parties leading the federal government. But also 88% of all teachers are liberal. 88%. This is a very recent statistic.
Yes, that's frightening as shit too.
Of course it is. 9 out of 10. So you look at that institution and go, even if you have a conservative leader, if you have Pierre Poilievre, whoever, you can't change the education system quickly because they will fight you and they will do whatever they want. So they actually did win the game by doing exactly what I said. So slowly but surely, you can take these things back. You just have to take action and you have to be willing to play the long game. And if you have to stay here, unfortunately, that's the game you're playing.
But the rules are rigged against you.
Of course, but where in the world are they not?
I think there are certainly, and that's a fair point, but I think there are certainly better places than here. And especially as an entrepreneur, I am getting fucking hammered in taxes, dude. I'm paying 54% taxes.
And if you don't, the CRA is like, well, we think you owe us another $150,000 for some odd reason these days.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It's just, it's very hard. Why do you think so many businesses are leaving fucking Canada?
Of course.
And then you hear Doug Ford complaining about, you know, businesses leaving Canada. Well, make Canada a place for business.
Yes. They're doing quite the opposite. I mean, what was it before COVID? I think 85% of all employees staff were employed by small businesses. Mm-hmm. Now it's like under 60%. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that's really grown is the public service by 42% at the federal level. Okay.
Right.
What direction are we going? We are actually going, that is the direction of socialism. So you got to be careful. The markers are there.
Yes. It's scary. Right now we have the recent bill that passed is allowing any immigrant who's lived in Canada for up to 1,000 days can now extend Canadian citizenship up to their kids, right? So now we're just going to be inundated with more and more immigrants.
Right.
I have no issue with immigration as long as it's legal immigration, not illegal immigration.
Yeah.
So when you have this influx of people, we are losing Canada's identity. crime is going to continue to go up because
Yes.
there's going to be less jobs, which means people are going to be desperate, and desperation leads to crime, right? Housing is fucked. I can't think of kids in their adults in their 20s, early 30s are ever going to be able to own a house.
No, it's not a thing for this generation. It's going to take quite a long time. And
Right.
Yeah. So for me, immigration, I look at two things. Yes, legal immigration. Two is you can only scale as fast as your infrastructure adequately allows.
Beautiful.
And we're blowing this out of the water. It's not even close anymore. But here's the thing. Here's what's interesting about this. We're sort of stuck in this damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Because Canada is built on social programs and we have an aging population.
Yes. Yep.
So how do you afford to continue paying the elderly to survive in this country if you don't replenish your tax base? And we've had a declining birth rate in Canada since the 1970s.
Oh, I thought it was later than that.
No, the US is like 2008, I think the US. We started in like 71 was the first year. Don't get me wrong, it may have gone up and down, but that's when it started.
Okay.
So we've done nothing to incentivize. Like Poland and Hungary are both offering no income tax for anybody with more than 2 or 3 kids, depending on the nation. We're not doing anything to push that. In fact, what we're doing is telling women it's the wrong thing to do and you want a career.
Yes.
My wife, love my wife. We've been together 20 years. She's the most amazing woman in the world. I'm very grateful to have Megan.
Ah, good for you.
She helped me build all of my businesses. Everything we've ever done, she's helped. She's been a crucial component to all of it. Over the last 10 years, she was very much what she would call in her masculine energy, in leadership roles, helping me build businesses while I was just moving as quickly as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Once she got pregnant, so we have a son, Jackson, he's 16 months. Once she got pregnant, she slowed down. About 4 or 5 months into being pregnant, she's like, oh, I feel myself entering my feminine energy again. And since she's been there, she's like, this is what matters. This is what matters the most. And this is her speaking, not me. And since we've had Jackson, she's like, every woman that's told not to have children, they're being robbed of the best future they could possibly have. It's wild what they've done with the media, what propaganda has done, especially to these liberal women. I feel so bad. Like it's impacted my life in the most significant way possible. I'm so grateful that I have Jackson and we're gonna have more kids.
Good for you.
Anyways, bit of a sidebar, but you kind of look at what's happening to our population. You go, how else could they possibly replenish what they need to in the tax base? How else could they do it? So I think that no matter what, they had to bring more people in. Do I agree with how they're doing it? Absolutely not. Do I agree with the low threshold? Absolutely not. But we were kind of damned if you do. No, nothing.
Yes. To me, it seems like they're just buying votes.
They are. And to your point about crime, it's not always just about not being able to put food on the table. It's about creating an environment that helps it flourish. So if you're in the oil business and you strike oil in Venezuela, you go to Venezuela. If you strike it in Russia, you go to Russia. Don't know why I picked those two countries, but I did. So they're both a little hostile right now. But anyway, if you're in the oil game, that's where you go. If you're in the organized crime business, you go where it's politically favorable.
100. Oh, fuck. Yes.
Right. So what have we done in Canada? We've got open immigration, 2-tier justice, basically a lax justice system, and we're completely—
And lax is being generous.
Yeah, it is, 100%. And we're completely penetrated by so many countries in all of our institutions. CBSA, our elections, we know were manipulated by China, for sure, the last two. And there's no question, we already know. So you look at that, it's like we know the CBSA is compromised, we know our education system is compromised, we know pretty much everything is compromised in Canada in one way or another by organized crime. So you wonder why there's more crime here. It's because we basically opened the door and said, come on in, guys, make it your own.
It's an environment they can flourish in.
Yes, exactly. So it's, so to your original question, what do I think of Canada? That kind of sums it up, man. Like, I think we have a lot of repairing to do. And I think that right now we are living in a world where people are ruled by ideology. They are ruled by emotion and not logic. And the way I think about the brain is logic's at the top, then emotion, then function. And what I mean by function is like, I can't tell you to stop breathing. Your lungs are going to keep breathing. So that just happens. Then it's emotion. And this is what they've done with politics. They've managed to politicize everything and make people over-identify with it. And when you identify with something, like I identify with Apple. I know it's silly, but I know that I do. I know it's silly, but I do. So like I buy their products, I have their phones, I have this, that, I have everything, right?
Agreed, me
now,
too.
I know, and I know it's kind of silly because I know they're somewhat inferior products in a lot of ways now, but I still don't care. It's because I can feel that it's somewhat of an emotional draw. That's what they've done with politics. They've done it at scale in every arena. So people are walking through life looking at every single situation that is now politicized and expanded some sort of government apparatus to surround it. and everything is emotional. So we're living in this world where we're just ruled by emotion and ideology and not
and we're
logic.
celebrating it and we're encouraging it.
Right.
Your feelings
Incentivizing
matter.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, if you incentivize it, and you're getting a lot of these fucking losers who had
Finally, you swore.
Well, you got no, like you've basically had no friend group, no position in life, no, like, I don't know, identity.
Yeah, you're a fucking loser.
Or it was that you were a victim. And now
And we're celebrating that too.
that's exactly it. So it's one or the other. So the people that fell left out in the cold are now a part of the largest group Canada's ever had, right?
Yep.
And all these people that like being victims are now being incentivized and rewarded.
Yes.
So when you take the combination of all that, and then you take even regular citizens that are being ruled by over identification and emotion over logic, that is kind of what ails the country. If you look at like the foundational problem, in my opinion.
I agree. And I have an abhorrent disdain for weakness. I don't think it's something we should allow within ourselves.
Same.
And
I'm so hardcore like that.
Yes, man.
Don't be a bitch.
Yes.
It's my favorite.
I mean, it's not to say that we shouldn't be emotional, but if you have a weakness within yourself, and I don't give a fuck if it's financial, spiritual, physical, you need to address it and be better.
Yes.
Right? But that kind of mentality is now called toxic masculinity.
For sure.
It's frowned upon. You know, I've had people call me, you're a fucking caveman and shit like that. It's
It's
just
not even bad. I'm kind of like, cool. That's actually a pretty good one. All right.
I just
take
like
that.
Why would you allow yourself to be weak in any sort of metric in your life?
I don't understand what makes people like that, and I don't understand
Because
why
it's
they don't
easy,
have. But
bro.
yeah, because they don't have a general inside them. Because look, you ice bath every day.
Yes.
Of course, so do I. Love it. Let's go. I do
Well-
showers till I'm a bath at that place we're at right now.
Yeah.
Same shit. Trust me. feels
yep.
kind of worse sometimes. Every day I do this, and I know this sounds like Joe Rogan, so I apologize, but I do this every day, and I can, it's such a relatable thing. Every day I look at it and I go, I don't want to do that. Every single day. There's not one day I'm like, let's go. I can't wait to get freezing cold for 3-4 minutes.
Yes.
But I go, shut up. Don't be a bitch. Go do it.
Exactly.
But that's like, I use that example because it's a microcosm for how I operate in my life. Everything in my life is like, don't be, and I don't say this to other people. I don't say, hey, stop being a bitch and pull up your socks. Say it to myself. Say it to myself all the time, audibly. In fact, if I'm being a bitch about something, it's like, pull up your socks, yourself, Jonathan, you're capable. Don't be a bitch. Go do this. And that has to do with everything, even being patient with my child. You know, like you'll get frustrated and a 16-month-old can drive you nuts once in a while.
I got 5 dogs.
Right. So same thing. That dog's going to piss on the carpet. That dog's going to do something. And you go, no, I'm not going to take it out on them. Don't, like, in the same set, don't be a bitch. Be patient. Be a reasonable human being. Be logical. Don't let this get the better of you. Be good to this thing or this person.
Yes.
That's that. So I'm the same way with everything. I just don't know how you hardwire that into people, because I think you have to go on a journey to get there. And I want to make sure, yes, my kids will have more than I had growing up, but I want to make sure that they go through enough hardship to get there.
That's going to be tricky though, because when you see your Jackson struggling, are you not going to just immediately try and fix the problem?
So I'm already working on that. So my wife's actually less of a helicopter parent than I am, which is great. She's a little more hippie. I'm a little more like, oh God, don't let them fall.
Yes.
So we actually have the balance, and her continually reminding me is giving him more room to grow. So it's actually, we're going to be okay. Like I fight it. It is difficult for me not to try to jump in and save him. But I do fight it, and obviously within reason. I don't let him play on the stairs, but you know what I mean? So he'll go through his challenges, and, you know, I would say over the last 4 months, he started doing a lot more communicating. And originally, if he was crying or upset, I couldn't manage it. Now I can be like, hey man, do your thing. If you want to cry for a minute, that's cool. You kind of, I'm getting better. Now I don't know how that translates to making sure that he acquires the skill we're talking about. But I'm moving in the right direction. I just think it's a difficult thing. Look, I think it's a rite of passage to find a way to become self-aware and to, in some way, shape, or form, find a way to tell yourself to stop being a bitch.
Here's the problem though. How many people do you know that are willing to look within and say, I'm being weak?
10%.
Exactly.
But those are the high achievers.
Right.
And if you look at life, you look at life as you're writing the story. Sometimes people write a short story. Sometimes people fill an entire shelf full of encyclopedias. I hope to be the latter. So you can't do that unless you face these things, unless you become self-aware, and unless you're willing to challenge yourself. Because like I said, humans are creatures of progress. If you look at a beehive from 20 years ago, you look at a beehive today, it's magnificent, but it's the exact same. If you look at a cell phone from 20 years ago and a cell phone today, I gave you one from today, 20 years ago, you would know how to use the damn thing. So we naturally progress. This is what humans do. Like at a macro scale, if you're looking down at us, we progress. I think people forget that that's what you do as individuals. And to do that, you need to be self-aware, face whatever your problems are, like you said earlier. And then you have to be willing to tell yourself to stop being a bitch. You have to be able to bring out the general whenever you need him to continue to move forward. That's how this game works.
Agreed, dude. You need to, but that's why I do this in part, to at least let people know that you are capable of great things, but there are steps you need to take.
Yes.
If you're gonna, just dwell on your weakness and make no efforts to improve yourself, then you're never going to be anywhere else than where you are today. And that to me is tragic, because we all have this potential, and yet and because we are celebrating weakness, it's okay to be okay. It's okay to be off today. No, motherfucker, it's not.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, you know what? I feel like shit today. Why do I feel like shit? Okay, there's this. Okay, how do I fix that, which is making me feel like shit today? Well, I could do this. Okay, let's start taking some steps in order to better ourselves.
Yes.
As opposed to, fuck, I feel like shit today. I'm going to watch fucking Friends and need a Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, just sit under the blanket and just hide from the world.
Fuck that, man.
I think there's a couple things that we've done to this generation that have made it challenging. One, the advent of social media is very challenging, because I think they try to live the highlight reel, so they're afraid to live in the real world. You've got two psychologies that you're trying to manage. One's great and one is you, right? So I think that's challenging for kids. The other thing that we do is, after you hit about 24 years old, people stop learning. They go into the workforce and they go, you know everything you need to know. Wait a minute. For the last 24 years, you were being taught, educate yourself, learn, get better. And now all of a sudden at 24, when you're probably your most capable, you said, turn that off. We're good. No, you're not. Find a way to keep learning. That's very, very important.
Again, yes. Today I'm learning Spanish. I study chess. Right? You need to constantly challenge yourself to be more than you are.
And I think the last thing is versatility. So our grandparents were very versatile. They were, when I think about versatility on a scale of 1 to 10, they were probably a 6 or a 7 on average. They could fix the car, they could sew their clothes, they could cook dinner, they could cut the lawn, they could fix the dog, they could do literally oh, the dog's sick, I'm gonna try to help him because the vet's not gonna be able to do anything. Didn't really matter what it was, they'd be able to figure it out and get by. They could have multiple jobs, they were survivors. Then our parents were like maybe 4s. They could do 4 out of 10 things. And I'm speaking in generalities, because I think you and I are very versatile as individuals. I think that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur and to cross this path.
Yes and no. I'm pretty fuck, dude. If something breaks in my house, I'm like, you need to come and fix this shit.
Okay, well, speak for myself. My versatility level is quite high. But I focused on that. But I mean, even like you said, learning Spanish, learning chess, you are increasing your versatility. But I think today's generation, they're a 1. They're a 1. They're honestly a 1. I've hired so many employees in different companies. And what's interesting is, in the media business, you try to get by on a shoestring budget, shoestring staff. You can't, because you're like, hey, I need you to be able to do this and this and this. They can't even do the one job you hired them for. And again, speaking of generality,
they're fucking entitled. Yes. Speaking of fucking generality.
Yes.
But for the most part,
yes.
The masses, they're entitled.
Yes.
They want to pay maximum dollar for the least amount of work.
It's wild.
And that's why I'm so concerned about this basic income that's coming in. So yet another.
Yeah. I don't know if we actually end up passing the basic income, because we have no way to pay for it.
Well, from what I understand,
For now.
they're just going to, from what I understand, they're just going to tax the businesses more.
There's nothing left. There's no way to do it. They did the math on it. That liberal, Leah Gazan and one other, there was mirrored bills in the Senate and the House. Gazan was the one who brought it up in the House, I think. Anyway, their math on how they're going to pay for this was literally retarded. I looked at it, I'm like, guys, that's not math. We're going to take more money from the people that are already paying taxes, but we're not going to increase their taxes. So you think the wealthy corporations and the wealthy people that are doing their taxes legally, you think there's more money to find there? Are you okay? You're going to spend more tax dollars chasing down dead ends. This doesn't make any sense.
And then I heard they're going to tax the middle class higher.
Sorry, what they said was, and it's only going to cost this much. So then I did the math on that. Well, there's 2 things that happen when you offer free money. First, by my original math, they were off by 50% at least. Second of all, when you give away free money, what happens? People line up. So that's all there's going to be more people looking for that money.
Right.
So there's just no way to make that happen right now. Now, you could make a case for it when AI blows up and replaces a lot of jobs and our GDP grows significantly. I'm not going to deny that. I don't know the math on how that works yet.
Okay, but then you're going to have a significant amount of the population out of a fucking job.
100%. Yes.
Right. So therein lies the problem. We will have avenues to go down that will make things easier, but by doing so, we're going to release people from the workforce. Those people will have no source of income. There comes the basic income. And listen, dude, I'm tired of being taxed to shit.
Yes.
I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yes, same. Well, this is one of the reasons why we're leaving too. Like,
okay,
you know what's challenging is you think about employing people, right? And I hope this doesn't ruffle any feathers here.
I don't give a fuck.
When I owned restaurants, you'd pay your key staff 60, 70,000 a year. That was enough for them to get by. They were good. Now it's not even close. Not even close anymore in the GTA.
Oh God.
So you think about that, and it's like, I can't pay people a living wage. How long does it take until they realize they're on a hamster wheel, that they can't get anywhere? They're in real trouble. And then they look at me like I'm a rich guy that's fucking them over. I go, are you bananas? So, but that's where that's the first place they point, right?
Yes.
Not understanding how the actual system works and how bent over we're getting. So then I go to Texas and I go, oh, no state tax. So I recognize they have higher property tax.
Yep.
I recognize there's health insurance, which actually most of it goes on the employer, like a significant portion. Anyway, you have to, or you don't attract employees. If I pay someone $100,000, they keep $79,000. Go, wow, that's a very livable wage. And the business that we're currently building will allow us to do that. So now I can sleep better at night. And I know I can provide a living wage for people, so the people around me are happy. So this creates what I call an abundance mindset. So this is one of the things, this is an interesting thing I started looking at back in 2011. My wife and I moved to the Cayman Islands.
Oh, nice.
And we were there for 3 years. And what I noticed,
How was that?
It was amazing. I don't know why we ever came back.
Yeah.
We came back for better opportunity. Great, that worked out great. So what I noticed though, is they have an abundance mindset. And I'm sure there's other ways of putting it. This is just my own spin on it. Everybody there has what they need, pretty much. So you don't have crime, you don't have violence, you don't have hate. You have a big family. Everyone loves everybody, everybody gets along. There's an abundance mindset. Everyone opens the door for each other, everybody says hello, everybody's kind, everybody's
Even
nice.
little shit like that annoys me. We've lost that.
Gone.
Right? You open a door for a woman and she thinks you're being a misogynist.
You're like,
I can open the fucking door
hell?
and fuck you.
Yeah,
I know.
cool, bro. Like, you're not like, I don't, and no offense, but what kind of man does that woman attract? Anyway, like,
I
this
know.
is weird.
Some cuck.
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
He's going to watch his fucking wife get
100%.
banged by another guy and
Yeah,
he's jerking
like,
off in the corner.
If you guys are happy, that's cool. It's just, that's not how we're going to scale society. Anyway, cool. So abundance and scarcity. Abundance mindset is when everybody sort of has everything. Again, speaking in generalities and everybody's good to each other. That's the society you want to be in. You feel good, you feel safe, you feel happy, you feel abundant. We live in a scarcity mindset society where there's not enough. There's not enough room on the elevator. There's not enough room on the road. There's not enough money. There's not enough anything. And what that creates is a very negative place.
Yep.
Everyone's mean to each other. No one will talk to each other. Everybody keeps everything close to their chest. And everyone thinks that you have to lose so that they can win because there's not enough.
Agreed.
This is Canada.
Yes.
Texas, where I'm moving to right now, there is an abundance mindset. People can say, "Oh, America's fucked." Sure, in a lot of ways. But if
is it though?
In its own ways, but not in this way. Not for me, and not in that location. So I go there and I'm like, I test the temperature. When I go to places, I've been there for a few months, off and on. And what I notice is there is an abundance mindset there. So I love it. It's another one of the big reasons why we're going there. But yeah, if you ever want to feel abundance mindset on steroids, go to the Cayman Islands. Wild.
I'm always someone who believes in possibility, in hope.
Yes.
So when I talk on my platforms about how things are bad, I'm not a doomsayer. I just want people to be aware of what's going on so that they can prepare accordingly.
Yes.
But I do think that we need a drastic mindset shift. And I think the environment we're living in, it is not conducive to do that. As you said brilliantly, we are living in a scarcity environment and everyone's going to be, that's for me, that's not for you. And we are becoming very guarded and aggressive and violent, and we are encouraging a divisive mindset, a divisive society. And I think we're so far down that road. I really don't know. Listen, I roll with a lot of police officers, like grappling wise, I mean roll, and the shit that they see and the disrespect that they have to endure, and crime in, like, let's say Ontario for specifically, is far worse than most people actually know.
Yep.
And that's frightening to me, right? So, and then you have all these fucking peasants that are quick to point to the rich about, oh, it's because of you, you don't get taxed enough. Oh, and that fucking argument, I want you guys to pay your fair taxes. Motherfucker, I pay more taxes in a year than you'll make in 10 years of your life. So shut the fuck up.
There's this mentality that was born out of the Liberal Party that you just need to tax the rich and everything will be okay.
Right.
I'm surprised they still play that game. The reason is because it's pretty simple economics. The people that are wealthy own all the assets and resources. And when you tax them, everything just becomes more expensive.
Right.
Because they shift the cost on you. It's so basic. It just drives inflation because they're not going to eat the costs themselves.
Right. We can't.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Otherwise, you don't have it. Other than your business shuts down and no one's employed anymore. It's just so basic for people to think about that. Like you talk about 4D chess sometimes about just like complicated thought processes and how you can make things, find a challenging way to navigate a situation. That's like 1D. That's the first D when you're like, tax the rich. It's like, talk about a caveman. Give me a fucking break.
I know, but it's such a simplistic knee-jerk reaction. I'm
Sure.
like, have you really fucking thought this out
That's
a
it. The
little
thing
bit?
is they haven't. They haven't. That's the
Right,
challenge.
but then they voice their opinion. You get other fucking idiots. Oh, that makes sense. Tax the rich. Fuck the rich. Rich
Yes.
are bad. You know,
Eat
I
the
employ
rich.
over 100
Wow.
people.
Yep.
Right? And then when raw costs go up for me, let's say we're talking about Perfect Sports, raw protein prices increased. So I absorbed it for as long as I could, but my margins kept shrinking, so I had to raise my price.
Right.
And then we had people complain, you're gouging us. No, man, I am not gouging you. I am trying to maintain a certain margin that I've been eating for so long, and I have two choices. I mean, this is fucking math. I can either lie and cheat and give you less than what you think you're getting, or I have to make a fair wage.
Yes.
Right? I don't go to anybody and say, I think you're charging me too much for that. I think you should lower your price.
You just deal with it.
You just
Right. Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
with
Well, the
it.
thing is because you understand business, but it's like everybody on the other end of this, they don't get it.
Right. Then
But-
shut the fuck up.
Yes, exactly.
Or educate yourself.
For me, I think if you think about sort of like you say you want to be hopeful, one way around this is that society needs a new macro narrative to follow. So after World War II, so I think you could go to religion, then I think you could go World War II. After World War II, it was fight the Nazis, don't ever let this happen again. So everyone was kind of on the same page. We're working together to never let this happen again. But that's been 80 years. So we're losing touch with that narrative. In fact, I know a number of people that would call us Nazis. Right?
There's a
right.
lot of people that do call us Nazis.
Right. So that narrative's lost. It's been hijacked and it's completely gone. So society does not have a macro narrative to work towards anymore. And what's happened, because we don't have that macro narrative, our politics are very divisive. So it used to be, well, politics, if you vote for the guy on the left or the girl on the right, each one of them is trying to get to the same place. They're just kind of taking a different path. That's how politics used to feel because we had this macro narrative in society, but it's gone. So now our politics are polarizing and they're actually going in different directions. One is pulling Canada down the line of socialism.
Yes.
The other one's trying to work more towards capitalism.
Yes.
And so this is the problem you have. We need a large macro narrative again to bring us together. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's religion. I don't have an answer. But if you had one,
Religion is just completely destroyed in Canada.
unfortunately, but you need something.
I agree.
You need something to sort of help everybody correct course and bring them back together in some fashion. Because if you keep going down the line of socialism, eventually you get to communism and then everybody dies. Sorry. So if you go towards capitalism, then people have opportunity and they have a chance to thrive. Now, if you look at what's happening in Canada, here's the way I look at capitalism versus communism or socialism. Capitalism allows 80% of the population to thrive. The bottom 20 need social programs, and I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Now, that 80%, you could just get by or you could be the best. You could be great, right? So you could be one of those. But you all have the opportunity in some way, shape, or form when capitalism is operating effectively. So 80% of the population is good, we take care of the 20. Cool. Socialism or communism, well, this means everybody's the same. So the only way to make everybody the same is to find a common denominator in the bottom 50%. So that means the top half of all performers are now suffering because you have to find your common denominator in the bottom. This is what happens. There's no other way around it. So when you look at the two systems, you can only choose one if you want society to thrive. There's only one way to get there, and there's only one way to fix this problem. Unfortunately, what's happened in Canada is we've gone so far towards socialism that we sort of hijacked capitalism, and now we're blaming capitalism for the problems that socialism created. Yes.
Get the rich again.
Right. So it's this cycle, but because we've had a liberal government for over 10 years now,
Yes.
we haven't balanced the scales. So we're pretty deep down this line right now. And You know, that's why I think we need a macro narrative again. Otherwise, I'm just not sure what we do. And it's tough.
I don't know if that level of awakening can happen. So let's even go down that rabbit hole just a little bit. Why do you think we're going in that direction? Why do you think we're heading towards socialism?
I think there's a couple reasons, but if I had to pick one, I would say this. Canada has been built more on socialism than capitalism since sort of the onset, right? We are not America. You go to America, it is capitalism first, and I love it.
Yeah, me too.
In Canada, we have built our society on social programs. So when you think about the nature of our political parties, the goalpost always moves, right? They don't go, well, our job's done. Cool. See you later, guys. They go, we need more, whatever it may be. They continue to move the goalpost. So if you've had the Liberal Party be in charge of Canada for the majority of its history, and now you've had them in charge for over the last 10 years, and now you got maybe a one-party state, you've had them in charge for too long. And they're the more socially driven party by a landslide, right? In fact, all the other subsidiary parties, they're also left-leaning. That's how they survive, right? So basically our political landscape is all leaning left, and it's all now socially driven, and they've been in power for too long. So they just keep having to move the goalpost. All they can do is just become more and more socialist. So I think that's a big part of it. I think for them to maintain relevance and continue doing their job, they just have to keep going down this line. You're seeing Carney actually correct course a little bit, if I'm being honest with you. He is sort of doing some things the conservatives were going to do to sort of shift a little bit back towards center. Not much, but a little bit.
Do you think he's doing that because he feels that way, or he's trying to appease all the negative feedback he's getting?
I actually think he's kind of sensible.
Really?
Yeah, I actually think he's kind of sensible. Wouldn't trust him with my kid or my wife or anybody. But I do think he understands, like, his track record when he ran the Bank of England and Bank of Canada were okay, not great. But
I thought when he ran the Bank of England, he just fucking destroyed it.
Yeah, he did not. Yeah, we're not great. Yeah. He made bad decisions and tried to convince people of things that were probably benefiting others, not the whole, not the majority. But he's also the chairman of Brookfield that controlled $1 trillion in assets.
Yes.
The guy's not an idiot. He understands how to run a business. He understands how money works. He does get it. Do I think he's doing the right things for Canada? Not necessarily. I think he's done a couple things that make sense because I think he is sensible. I do. I think he's clouded by two things: greed and the party's ideology, and maybe three things: the people around him, because they're all there scratching each other's back, right? But I do think he's more sensible than Trudeau, and I do think he is trying to correct a few things, not necessarily for Canada or Canadians, but think about it like a Jenga tower. If you keep pulling out pieces on one side, it's going to fall over.
Right.
So you can't build up anymore.
Right.
So once in a while, you got to pull one off the right and put it on top just to balance it a little.
Fair.
That's
analogy.
what I think he's
I've
doing.
never heard a Jenga analogy before. Works.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just literally thought of it right now.
Do you think he legitimately won, Carney, the election?
That's a tough question. I'll tell you why. I don't know how compromised our elections are. I just don't. So it's hard for me to speak on it. And I haven't given it much thought other than I think the apparatus in place that they've created gives them a one-party state. I don't necessarily think it's fraudulent voting as much as it's a hijacked system, right? So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like how many diaspora groups, think about it this way. Government spending, going to be $554 billion this year in federal spending. Bananas. How much of that do I think is efficient? 20%, literally 20%. 40% I think goes to bureaucracy. 40% I think goes to corruption and buying votes. So if 20% of it then out of the bureaucracy, the corruption and buying votes, let's say that 20%. So let's just call it $100 billion. $100 billion goes to diaspora groups and buying votes. And the person in power has the advantage because they have the money. So we know the Chinese, we know the Russian, we know a lot of other groups, even Iran. We know a lot of groups that are here are voting liberal because we're letting them in the country.
Yep.
And whatever else, however else they are intertwined with the Liberal Party. I can't exactly say. But I literally think $100 billion a year goes to just buying votes. So I think that they were probably voted for the most, but how did they get those votes? I find it hard to believe that that's fully above board.
Yes, I concur. I think, I've had people on that have suggested that even the voting system is corrupt. But even if you go so far as to say that we are using funds to buy votes in whatever capacity, that in itself is corrupt.
Yes.
And because the cards are stacked against us, I don't think we are ever going to get out from under a liberal rule.
Pretty much the same.
And that mindset, that system is not conducive for me.
No, and me either. And to be honest with you, I thought about this the other day. Even if the Conservatives won, I'm still not sure Canada has become something I can tolerate. Even if Conservatives won.
And even if they did, how long would it take to turn this ship around?
10 years.
Right. I don't have that kind of time.
No, same. Because I mean, like, I'm 40. I'm going to keep my foot on the gas for another 10 years. Then I would just kind of want to raise my kids, if I'm being honest. Now, will I fully step out? No, I love being an entrepreneur. But I bet I'll work 20 hours a week. And I bet the rest of the time I'll be with my children, playing golf, playing baseball, whatever they want to do. You know, figure skating, fuck, I don't know what they're going to be into, but I'll be there for it. And I want to help support them. And that's the chapter I want to be in. So, no, I don't have 10 years either. I don't want to be spinning my wheels for 10 years hoping things get better. As entrepreneurs, you and I take risks. So we are inherently on shaky ground. Us, as individuals. The only way we can succeed is if we are on solid ground so we can make shaky moves, essentially, right? For lack of a better way of putting it. So if your country is also on shaky ground, how do you possibly operate? There's no way to make it work. You got to get so lucky to be successful in a country like this. So no, it just doesn't make any sense. Down there, I can pretty much guarantee my success. That's the big thing. That's really it. Like, I look at the path now and I'm like, oh, it's very clear. I cross that border. I'm down there. 10 years. I'm caked. I'm out.
Nice. Good. Right. And you should be rewarded by operating in a system that supports entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And yet here we are fighting against the system. Everything is coming up just arbitrarily that you have to pivot and you have to make moves that take you off your intended path.
Yes.
And at best, it's just a waste of time. Because now you have to navigate all these fucking potholes that come up that are taking away from time that you should be spending on bettering yourself. And I don't think bettering yourself is a bad thing, because when you're when you're in a position of comfort, then you have the ability to help others.
Yes.
But when you're struggling, you have no time or capacity or funds to help others.
I think that's a really important thing to highlight that people forget. You can only do the best for others when you've done the best for yourself first, because that's when you have the highest capacity to change other lives. Except we live in a society where they want it to be the opposite. They want you to join their victimhood and they want you to try to, like you said, eat the rich. It just doesn't work. And I just think, like, you know, you have this analogy, you're biting the hand that feeds you. And I think what's happened in the Liberal Party and the constituents in the Liberal side is they think the government is the one that feeds them. But the reality is it's actually guys like you and I.
Fucking right, man.
Yeah, and this is the problem. And instead of, I don't want to be put on a pedestal, but at least get out of my way. Just get out of my way. I don't care. I don't need your help. Just get out of my way and let me have a favorable environment. I will do the rest, and I will employ hundreds of people. I'm good with that. Like yourself, I've done the same thing. I've had hundreds of employees over the years. And I'm happy that I have, and I wish I could do more for people, because I actually love being an entrepreneur. This country's made me hate it. This country's made me second guess doing it, right? And it's that same thing as, it's like, they vilify us, but they need us.
Right.
And we continue to try to do what we do because we love it, even though we're getting beaten down every time you get up.
Right.
You get smacked again. So
some new bullshit.
That's exactly it. So it's just making it more and more difficult to be here. And I just wish people would see that. You know, the challenge you have, and I guarantee it's with this podcast, with my content as well. The people that need to hear this aren't the ones listening. The people that need to hear this will get excited about it. They get charged up. They feel the same. And maybe they'll go speak to a few people to change a few other minds, which I love.
That's the best we can hope for.
Yes, and I love that. But I really wish that at scale we had some sort of way to just explain the reality of these situations to people, because I think that's how you could affect change at scale. It's just they've completely cock-blocked us.
Sure, because I think the government, or just society in general, likes that victim mentality. It likes that weak mentality, right? I mean, perfectly said again. I mean, the people that gravitate towards this kind of speech are people who are generally drinking this tea anyway.
Yes.
The people that don't are going to, and I get fucking comments all the time, you know, so what are you going to do about it? Or you're very negative, or it's not that easy. It's not that fucking easy, but it's better than staying where you are.
You got to choose your hard.
Oh, fuck, that's brilliant. Yes, exactly. Right? So, and that extends to every problem that you have in your life. You're overweight. Okay, well, what are you doing? Nothing. Okay, well, perhaps we should look at moving and eating less. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, then shut the fuck up.
Then your heart is disease, pain walking, and looking fat.
Right.
Sorry. It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm running 180 at 8% right now. I'm dialed. Let's go. I have to do so much work at 40 to keep that up.
I'm 57, bro.
I know. So I know what you have to do to keep it up. It's bananas. Like people are like, oh, it's just genetics. You're lucky. No.
The fuck it's genetics,
No.
dude. At
No,
15,
dude.
I was some skinny short kid. I had to work.
Same, dude. Yeah, same shit, bro.
Yes. So no matter where you are in your life, you are capable of being more than you are. You may not be more, you may not get to where somebody else gets, but you are certainly going to be fucking farther ahead than you are.
You can maximize your own potential.
Yes.
This is what we've forgotten in life. Life should be about progressing and maximizing your potential. Sorry, it just should. Like I understand people are like, well, you know, you should be more zen and do this and that. Yeah, meditate if you want every day. I don't give a shit. If that's what gets you off, do it. Love that. Make that part of your protocol.
Sure.
But macro, progress, better yourself, better the world around you. What happened to these things? That's how we got here.
Right.
And now we're like, no, let's throw it all out. The system that got us here, fuck it. What do you mean?
Yep. And you have to question why we are embracing that. And I simply have, come to the conclusion that people just like being okay. We've become a membership in this club of it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be victims. It's fucking not.
I think it's about, I hate to boil it down to this, but it's like you said earlier, I think it's about votes. How do you keep people, like it's love and fear. If people love you, they'll support you, but it's easier to get people to fear you. And it's actually more effective to keep them in line. If I'm just going to love you and you have some bad inkling to do something bad, you might do it. But if you fear I'm going to cut your head off, you're going to think twice and probably not do it. So if you have people in this fear mindset, and they're victims all the time, but they can depend on you to help them maintain their victimhood, then they're going to continue to support you. And then they're afraid to get outside of that because one of the hardest things if you are overweight or if you do have to make a change is taking the first step to make that change. And if you start building an identity around all these victimhood things, and then someone comes in and goes, you got to scrap all that shit. Let's go. That's the hardest day of your life. And people are not willing to face that. So they're preying on that weakness. They're preying on the fact that they've got people pigeonholed and they can maintain power by continuing to press this button.
Right. And then you say anything to the contrary and then you're body shaming. And so it's not okay to bring to somebody's attention that your being overweight is not healthy for you. It's not inspiring to say your kids or people around you. But to say that, again, you're fat shaming. It's not healthy to be fat. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Leading cause of everything.
Sure.
That's between stress and being overweight, those are the number like 1 and 2 things that connect you to every disease.
Right. So yes, it's hard, but just take that first step. Eat a little less today. Go for a walk from your front door to your fucking back door. Just start doing something. Because I think that kind of mentality perpetuates. So today I walked to my back door. You know what? Today I'm going to walk to the bottom of my driveway. Just fucking do something, man.
This is the cold bath thing. So this is why you do the ice bath, because progress, in a sense, and I don't mean always physical pain, but pain turns to progress. So if you do the ice bath every day, you're willing to fight through the pain.
Yes.
Now
listen, dude, I fucking hate that ice bath.
Yeah, of course. Everybody does, but it's that willingness to fight through the pain.
Yes.
And I just don't think enough people are willing to embrace it. They're not willing to be uncomfortable. But everything you want in life is on the other side of uncomfortable.
And fear.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
And it's just not enough people. And like you said, it's this thing where once you get some momentum, you have more success.
Yes.
Once you get to the back door, then you get to the end of the driveway, then you get around the block, then then all of a sudden you did a marathon. Right. Life changes. But it's just willing to do that. It's how you get people. And what I think is the liberals have created this safety bubble. And you know what's interesting? Let me finish that thought. Liberals have created a safety bubble for all the people in there, and it's very hard to penetrate, so no one's willing to even walk to the back door. I wish more people were willing to get outside that bubble. It's just very hard to penetrate at scale.
Yeah, that's hopefully that, having a conversation like this or having a conversation with others at least gives them maybe an inkling of motivation. And the problem I always say with motivation is that you need discipline, right? And discipline only comes with the ability to muscle up and get through the hard times, because you can be motivated. I'm motivated to, let's just say I'm motivated to go my back door. But when you get up and you're like, my knees hurt, I don't want to do this. That's when discipline kicks in, and people lack discipline. And we are lacking discipline because we are making things too easy for people. It's okay to be weak. It's okay. Fucking self-love. Love your body. No, motherfucker, don't love your body. If your body's unhealthy, don't fucking love it.
Yes.
Fix it.
Happy, never satisfied. Let's go. Just hustle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting, when you frame it like that and you kind of think, how do you actually get people to take the first step to do something, to do anything? This is where I think the one-to-one actually comes into play. You and I do things and have conversations that affect a macro narrative. And if I actually, we discuss the idea of fixing the country, fixing the world, blah, blah, blah. Can't really fix the world. Can't even fix the country. But we discuss some large concepts. Now, for those to get there, if I go back to the abundance and scarcity mindset in cities, how that happens is a tipping of the scales. Enough people feel abundant, so you have abundance. If enough people say hello to you, you start saying hello to others. So you sort of create this knock-on effect, cascading effect. And I think it's the same here. If you want people to change, you have to one-to-one this. You have to take the ideas that you and I are discussing, but you have to actually break it all the way down to the individual. Like if you have a liberal in your family, I've got a couple. If you have them in your family and they are unwilling to sort of see outside of this victimhood, the liberal bubble that's been created, find a way to get through to them. Because if you can and you convert one person, well, now you're on the inside and they know other people too. This is what's so crazy. We have such a large problem that's affecting the country at scale, but the only way to fix it is one-to-one.
Agreed.
And then to flip the scales over time. And
how long is that going to take?
Well, it's going to take as long as it takes, but you and I both know you take a penny a day and you continue to double it every time when you look at the chessboard and you know how much money at the end of the day you're filthy rich. So there's a compound effect that happens here. It's just how do you get people to get on board with this and make these changes and convince others to make these changes? I don't know, man. I think that's one of the driving engines behind my content. I think that's one of the reasons why I say what I say. One of them is so that people aren't ignorant, because I think ignorance is the worst position to be in.
Yep.
Two is because I do actually hope people take action and change. And I'm very grateful for the number of people that have come up to me and said, there's this one thing you said on this day during this podcast or this rant you did or whatever it may be, through COVID especially, and you made me feel sane. You made me feel like, hey, you understood what I was thinking, and therefore I did X. You know, I used to do a lot of entrepreneur content before the COVID stuff, before all the media shit too. And I'd have people come up to me and be like, hey, you helped me pick my path. Thank you. So that does actually happen. It can be effective.
It's also very inspiring, right? When people come up to you and say shit like that, yeah, I dig that when that happens. Because at least you know, regardless of anything else in your life, your legacy will be that you've inspired someone.
Yes.
Right? You've given people a path. And that, you know, I talk about legacy a lot on this show, and that what is your legacy going to be? And if take everything away that you've done, take away your entrepreneurship, take away your businesses, your kids, your wife, the very fact that you've been able to touch one person and change that person's life, dude, that's a gift.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And I think this is where I'm getting with this conversation is it's a challenging thing to do. And I don't mean like, I'm grateful that I've had a few people that have taken advice from me and made positive changes. That's amazing. Very grateful.
Yes.
But this is the challenging thing. If we actually want to see the world change, unfortunately, we can't depend on the people that are sick. And currently, and I'm saying this again, speaking in generalities, when you look at the Liberal Party and how they live through victimology, that is an illness.
Yes.
So you can't expect them to change. So even though a lot of us feel like we're going crazy because the world is driven by emotion, ideology, and nonsense, we actually have to be the ones to mobilize to change those people around us, or this will never change. We have to swallow our pride, understand that even though we know they're doing things wrong, that we can't fight this battle with a sword. We have to fight it, with words, but we have to sort of join them at their level and find a way to communicate with them so they understand what to do, and that the other side, the grass is greener. That is unfortunately the cross to bear that we have. People listening, this is what it is. If you want to see things change, this is pretty much the only way to do it.
Some people I've heard many times, be the change you want to see in other people.
Yes, I think it's
Again,
Gandhi.
why
Yeah.
I do what I do. Like, you know, at 57, it would be much easier for me just to not give a shit about my body or my health or anything else, right? And but if I can inspire to people to do these things to improve themselves, then again, it's a gift. You are motivating someone to better their life.
Yes, but it also, I think, would help society at scale, and I think that's what we need. It's like, there are towns in Canada that have an abundance mindset. There are. I've been to them. You know what's interesting? Around the holidays, if you go to places that really do a big holiday market,
yes,
you feel an abundance mindset in those areas around that time of year, even if they don't have it regularly. So this is something that it's you can feel it. You know when you're around it. You know because everyone's kind to you. Everybody's nice. It's the door opening. It's you feel. There are tangible things that happen.
Yes, agreed.
So this can happen in your hometown. It can happen in your neighborhood. It can happen around the holidays. It can happen at scale, but it has to happen small first. This is how we do it. And I'm of the opinion that creating this abundance mindset is actually how you create change at scale. But they come in these little micro pockets first, and then we get there.
I agree.
And I've been on an island of 100,000 people in the Cayman Islands where that was the narrative. That's what it was. So I know this works. I know it can happen. And I understand it's a heavy lift. And I know that sometimes it's a pain in the ass. And I know sometimes watching people go down the wrong path is difficult. But if the idea is to actually help the world, and I think giving back is one of the greatest things you can do. And I think it's your duty as a human being.
Yes.
I think this is one of the best ways that you can do it.
I say many times, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I don't mean necessarily much is given in terms of just wealth.
Yes.
If you've been giving the acumen, the intelligence, and the drive in order to be successful, you have been given a lot.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're doing well for yourself, and I wish that for you, bro. I hope that you are successful, and I want you to make as much as you fucking want. And I am blessed. I've been given a lot. So I take it upon myself to help other people because I just think you owe a debt. You've been given a lot by the universe. You can say by God, by the universe, however you want to say it, but you have been given a lot. So bro, you fucking owe. You got to pay back.
I see it the same way, man. I don't really talk to people that articulate it the exact same way, but that's exactly what I say. I go, I was dealt pocket aces, ace king suited. Sorry, but I just was. And I'm very grateful. And I think that I could have squandered them.
Don't
but
denigrate yourself. Okay,
no,
dude?
no. But I was given.
But you could have fucked it up too.
Agreed. But I recognized at a pretty young age, in my early 20s, to curb my ego, get my shit in check.
I still have a problem with that.
Stop being a tough guy. You know, I fight too, like you. Like I've been training for 20 years. Hand-to-hand combat. I love it. I'm very capable. I enjoy it.
And that is also speaking towards your discipline and drive.
Yes.
Because I do believe martial arts brings a certain mentality, and never say die mentality to people.
It also brings the reality of meritocracy to life very quickly.
Sure. And also the fact that a certain sense of humility. Because when you and I are on the mat or in the ring, I don't care what you drive. I don't care what kind of jewelry, the clothes you wear, or anything that you have. I'm looking to beat your ass.
Yes.
And there's that mentality, that humility that is instilled, right? I go into the mats every day and I get fucking choked up by my instructors. They don't give a fuck about what I make.
Nope.
They're just like, oh, buddy, I'm going to fucking choke you unconscious.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a cheat code. It's literally a cheat code. Doing martial arts is a cheat code because you get so much value out of it in so many different ways.
Yes.
And it's funny, like I say, oh, I got pocket aces. People are like, oh yeah, well, whatever. Like you can judge me. That's just how grateful I feel for what I have. That's what I mean by that. I don't think I'm the cat's ass or the greatest thing in the universe. I just feel like that grateful and that lucky for what I was given. So therefore, to your point, I turn around and go, this is what I owe the world. So
exactly.
But that's exactly how I feel. I feel like I want to do great things because I want to do great things for others.
Right.
Yeah.
And by being able to do great things for ourselves, we're able to do great things for other people.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I fucking concur, man. 100%. So let's squirrel, and because we were talking about regenerative medicine, I mentioned how I was going to go to Mexico shortly and get stem cells, the Clotho gene therapy, and the follistatin gene therapy. And so then you came to light about your experience with all of that.
Yes.
And the people that watch this podcast have great interest in that kind of science. So talk to me. Yeah.
So I really got into regenerative medicine in 2020 when I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. Graves' disease is an autoimmune condition. And don't feel bad for me. I gave it to myself. So when you have an autoimmune condition, you have to have three things happen. One is there has to be a genetic predisposition. Two, you have to have a leaking gut, which 99% of people do. And three, you have to have an event, quote unquote, an event. So how you get Graves' disease is through high volume output, high volume stress, whether physical or mental. Now this was through COVID. And
is that when you developed it?
Yes. Now I didn't get vaccinated, so had nothing to do with that. Yeah. People are like, oh, well, you got this. No, I didn't. Nope, wasn't that. I know exactly what it was. High output. So I went to the gym 5-6 days a week. They closed the gyms. I had to do something. I started running. Now I'm built like a bulldog. I'm 5'7", 180 at around 8%. I love it. I feel like, but I'm the kind of guy I'm built for speed, short distances. I started running 10 miles a day, and my body's didn't really like it, but I was like, my mind can beat my body. I'll be fine. I can do this. So my mind did beat my body, and my reward was then I couldn't run 10 miles, then I couldn't run 5, then I couldn't run a mile, then I couldn't take a case of stairs without being out of breath. And then I had the shakes. I'm like, oh, fuck, do I have Parkinson's? It was wild. So my nervous system was shot.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And what happened was I talked to a couple doctors afterwards. They're like, look, it wasn't just that. It was a compound effect of 20, 30 years of that. But this is what you've done to yourself. You overdid it. We're all gas, no brakes. Okay. So you go to the doctor's, doctor says, well, we got a couple options, Jonathan. You can try to take this pill for a little while, but ultimately we have to cut out your thyroid. I go, we're not going to do that. First of all, your thyroid's very important. It's like a leg. Like, I need that shit. So I was like, we're not going to do that. And then I started digging really, really deep into the research, and I'm like, hey, everyone that's burned out their thyroid with radioactive iodine, they've had really negative effects after. Nobody's had a better life, basically. So let's find a way to beat this. Modern medicines is regenerative is the way to go. Modern being like the current medical system is not going to do it. So that's why I started going down this path. Started looking at longevity. I started trying to understand just all the different pathways that I might be able to have success here. So took stem cells, which was really great because it lowers your inflammation significantly.
Which is important.
Yeah, huge, especially if you have an autoimmune condition. So you have a lot of inflammation. So I got blood test after these stem cells, literally zero inflammation. Doctors are like, what the fuck did you do? So I explained everything. So that was successful. Didn't get rid of it, but managed the symptoms. Then I did the follistatin, same thing you did from Mini Circle. And that's more about longevity. I didn't really expect that to do anything with the autoimmune stuff. But it was one of those things I went down because I was like, well, I'm in this space anyway now.
Doesn't it also remove any limitations of muscular structure on your body?
Not completely remove, but it does lower your, what's it called?
Myostatin.
Myostatin, yes. So it does actually give you the capacity to get a little bigger, a little stronger. It's kind of, it's not anabolic, but it does allow you to build more muscle without the limiter on a little bit.
Yes.
So that's definitely one of the benefits as well. Now, what was actually more successful for me were peptides. So here's what I try to say to people. If you look at regenerative medicine, there's three things you really look at right now. Stem cells, gene editing, peptides.
Take all three.
Yeah, same. So stem cells are in like grade 2, grade 3. Gene editing, kind of grade 1, kindergarten.
I would agree.
Peptides, they graduated high school. Peptides are legit, and they make a significant dent. Now, that being said, stem cells and gene editing are the future. And in combination, they're going to be a very, very, very significant compound because one is the blueprint and one affects change. It's going to change the world, those two.
Yes.
But they need to graduate first. So peptides, aren't quite as capable, but they've graduated already. So they can do a lot for you. So what I did first was heal my gut.
Yep. So
with BPC 157, TV 500.
Yep. I take those two.
And then I started taking something called ATXGD59.
Oh, never heard about that.
No, you wouldn't. It's a very obscure peptide. There's an NIH study that was published in 2022. This is the only thing that's ever cured Graves' disease.
Shit.
Interesting, right?
Right.
So I would go to my doctor here in Canada, deal with 5 of them, and they're like, they won't listen. I have one doctor at a walk-in clinic I talk to, love her to death, Dr. Medi. She's great. She always listens to me. So we talk. She's like, wow, that's amazing. So she'll support it. Obviously, I get it from the States. I don't need their help.
Yeah.
But it's just about like managing what I'm taking and what to do next and just having a professional opinion. So she's always been fascinated by it. And right now, I'm happy to say that I've had 3 blood tests in a row where I'm clean. I'm good.
Outstanding. Good for you, buddy.
So I've had, so it was the combination of those things. And actually, one other thing I started taking was low-dose naltrexone, LDN. Again, prescribed from the States. So naltrexone is what they give crackheads. Oh, it's good stuff. Okay, so helps people with addiction. So they usually take 50 milligrams a day.
50?
50.
Yep.
Low dose, you take 4.5. They started using it for autoimmune conditions in the US a few years ago. It's been very, very effective. It's been very effective for me too. I feel fantastic. Like it's been a really, really good addition. And the pharmacological impact, like the negative side effects are almost non-existent, or basically non-existent. Mm-hmm. So now I've gotten off of prescription medication from the harmful shit, Tapazole. I'm going to continue to revisit taking peptides every 6 months or so, and then just taking low-dose naltrexone for the next 6 months, just as we kind of cycle out, and I'm good. So that was a big reason why I went down this path. It took 4.5 years, but here's what I would say. I'll always be involved in regenerative medicine in some capacity. And while I may have lost 5 years of my life to the disease, I think I've gained 25 in the knowledge that I have and what I'm now taking.
Sure. And what's exciting about what's coming down the path.
Yes, and being in that conversation and having access to it is very important.
It is. And again, you and I are very fortunate that we have those, inroads.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, people can find a way. Like I truly
Yes.
believe that if there's anything you want in your life, you will find a way to get it. You know, we are lucky that we have these inroads, but I 100% concur. I think peptides, stems, and you know, DNA editing down the road, you know, then you'll get the argument we're playing God. Well, okay, fuck you. That's what you know. It's exciting to know what I can do to my body.
But it's just for someone to say that, it's like, well, why do you get to decide where technology stops?
Right.
Is it the cell phone? Is it the computer? Is it the internet? Is it, no, you're telling me that it's gene editing? Ah, fuck yourself. You're already a cyborg. You have a phone in your hand all day. Give me a break.
Agree.
Look, I don't want to live forever, but I would like to make it to 122.
I want to make it to 150.
There you go. So we each have our goal. My goal, what's funny is
122.
you know what's so ridiculous? This was what I thought from a very, very young age before it even made any sense. I was like, I'm going to live to be 122. Like I knew I was going to have a sandwich for lunch. I knew that I was going to live to be 122.
That's very doable. Even without like current advances coming right now with what we're dealing with, 122 I think is no problem.
What's interesting is it's actually our biological capacity, which was just, we just learned this like 5 years ago. So that's like our capacity is actually to get to like 122. I thought, well, that's interesting.
122. Listen, I want to extend my life as long as possible.
This is without the new tools, but
yes, but without like there's longevity and then there's just length of life. I want to live with a robust life.
It's quality first, then length.
Yes,
I don't want to be in a diaper for 40 years.
Fuck that.
Yeah, like completely out to lunch. I don't want to be Joe Biden from 80 to 122. Give me a fucking break.
That's why I'm a big advocate for MAIDs. Right?
Yeah.
Like and successful people such as ourselves have made the decision, or I will speak for myself, that I don't want to be a bird on somebody. I don't want to be sitting in the corner there, shitting myself, eating Jell-O and watching Price is Right if that's still on. I want to live my life to maximum capacity. And then when I can't, I want to leave on my own terms.
It's interesting. I agree with you, but I don't like what they've done with the MAID program because I think that they've expanded it too far. They're expanding it to mental illness. They're affecting young people, telling people they have no way out. They're trying to give it to veterans. They're using it as a tool to minimize their costs, and I think it's horrific.
Me too.
But
sure.
I agree with I'm the old 10-cent solution guy. Put a bullet in my head. I'll see you later. I don't care. Like, sorry, man. Like,
well, that's gonna get us canceled. But no, I agree. And again, the fact that you're extending it to veterans or you're extending it to mental health simply to cut costs of the system.
So dark.
It's fucking insane.
So dark,
dude.
so dark. So I think we've gone down the wrong path with it. But I to what you're saying, I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah. Do you take any, like for me, I also take the CJC ipamorelin blend.
Yep.
I take tesamorelin before I go to sleep. 3 days a week, I take GH before I go to sleep.
Right.
So I don't just become completely dependent on GH. So it's only 3 days. It's only 2 I use a night.
Yep.
And then I take low dose test. For me, I take it microdose every day.
Yep.
Because for like most people are fortunate that they can take it once a week. I can't. It just fluctuates my hormones too much.
Right. And then you get moody as fuck.
Oh, buddy, it was fucking
horrible.
Yeah.
I know.
Dr. Minhouse actually helped that with that problem.
Yeah, I know about the mood swings. That was one thing with when you have the Graves disease, because the thyroid, it affects all the hormones.
Yes.
Holy shit. Talk about Jonathan being a bitch. Fuck. Dude, that's tough, man. It's tough fighting that when you're sleeping 3-4 hours a night and you just wake up and you just, it's wild. So right now, I'm not taking much of that stuff. The reason is because I wanted to make sure I had a clean bill of health before I was screwing around with my hormones. Also, as far as my test levels go right now, I'm pretty good. Things are good.
I'm 57.
So no, I know. And I recognize that probably by my mid 40s, it's going to be a necessity, but I'm pushing it off as long as I can. And then I will absolutely be looking at the slew of peptides you can take to better your life. And Gary, who is one of the owners of Can Labs, he takes 4 protocols a year. And he continues to take things that will affect his testosterone levels. So what he does is he picks like 2 or 3 organs at a time, and he continues to have them basically reworked every quarter. I'll connect you with him, or at least that information. So every year you're getting a recharge on these things. So that is actually the protocol that I'll follow, but I'm going to give it a couple years because right now it's a little less work for me. Is basically where I'm at. Yeah.
Last question.
Shoot.
What do you want your legacy to be? We touched on it briefly about helping others, but what do you want your legacy to be?
You know, it's crazy. I always thought it would be being a billionaire, which I think I'll be one day, but it's really just being a great dad. I want to be a great dad and raise great kids. It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, like I always wanted to have children. I've been with my wife for 20 years. We didn't have any surprises. I've had Jackson for 16 months, and it's changed my life in such a dramatic way that I just want to be there for them and provide them with the best opportunities and the best life that I can. And I just want to be the best dad that I can. It means more to me than anything now. And I think that You know, you and I talk about mobilizing people to help change their lives. Well, if I have 3 kids and I create superhumans that are not only capable of doing everything I can do and more in their own way, but are just as capable or more capable of changing more lives around them, and then they do the same thing for their kids, that to me what it's really all about.
Agreed. That's a beautiful legacy. I hope you have both. I hope you become the billionaire you want to be. And I'm quite confident in the fact that you're going to raise some awesome fucking kids.
I appreciate that. Thanks, brother.
Thank you for coming on.
That was amazing.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thank you. We out.